You've been programmed to believe there's not enough to go around. Every decision you make, every opportunity you evaluate, every dollar you spend is filtered through this unconscious belief that resources are limited and you need to hoard what you have. This scarcity mindset isn't just affecting your bank account, it's rewiring your brain to see lack everywhere, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that keeps you trapped in financial mediocrity. But what if I told you that the wealthiest people on Earth operate from a completely different neural framework? You probably think you're making rational financial decisions, but your brain is running a program you didn't install and can't see. This ancient software was designed to keep your ancestors alive in a world where missing one opportunity meant starvation, where trusting the wrong person meant death, and where taking risks could eliminate your entire bloodline. Your modern brain still operates under these prehistoric rules, treating every financial decision as a life or death scenario. Every day, your unconscious mind processes thousands of micro decisions about money, opportunities, and risk through a filter you inherited from survival programming. When you see a job posting for a higher paying position, when someone mentions a business opportunity, when your financial advisor suggests a new investment strategy, your brain immediately scans for danger signals. This happens in milliseconds, long before your conscious mind has a chance to evaluate the actual merit of the opportunity. What feels like careful financial planning is actually your brain's negativity bias, systematically blocking wealth-building opportunities before they reach your conscious awareness. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, fires first when you encounter any financial decision, flooding your system with stress hormones that make you hyper-focused on potential losses rather than potential gains. This neural hijacking means you're not actually thinking about money, you're surviving it. The three most destructive scarcity thoughts running in your background are, there's not enough, I don't deserve more, and taking risks leads to loss. Each one creates neural shortcuts that bypass rational analysis and send you straight into protection mode. When you hear about someone else's success, your brain interprets it as evidence that less is available for you. When opportunities arise, your internal programming whispers that you're not qualified, not worthy, not ready. When investment possibilities appear, your survival software screams about all the ways you could lose what you already have. Your brain literally cannot process abundance when it's wired for scarcity, which means you're missing financial opportunities that are invisible to your current operating system. This isn't about positive thinking or motivation, it's about understanding how your unconscious financial programming creates self-sabotage patterns that compound over time. You make decisions that feel safe and smart, but they're actually reinforcing the very limitations you're trying to overcome. The most successful people aren't smarter or luckier. They've rewired their neural pathways to recognize opportunities where others see obstacles. They've learned to override their survival programming with abundance programming, creating new neural pathways that filter information differently. Once you understand that your financial limitations aren't about external circumstances but internal programming, you can begin the process of rewiring your brain for abundance. The first step isn't changing your behavior, it's becoming aware of the unconscious patterns that have been running your financial life without your permission. While most people operate from fear-based financial programming, there's a completely different neural framework that turns your brain into an opportunity detection system. This isn't some mystical concept or wishful thinking. It's a measurable shift in how your brain processes and filters information about money, business, and wealth creation. Successful entrepreneurs and wealthy individuals don't just think differently about money. They've literally rewired their brains to process information through an abundance filter instead of a scarcity filter. When they encounter the same business opportunity, investment possibility, or career advancement that would trigger fear responses in most people, their neural pathways fire differently. Their brains have been trained to scan for potential and growth rather than danger and loss. The abundance mindset isn't about blind optimism or ignoring risks. It's about training your brain to see possibilities, connections, and growth opportunities that scarcity-minded people cannot perceive. When you operate from abundance, you still evaluate risks and make careful decisions, but you do so from a foundation of possibility rather than fear. Your brain becomes calibrated to notice solutions instead of problems, partnerships instead of competition, and expansion instead of limitation. When you shift from scarcity to abundance thinking, your reticular activating system begins filtering information differently, highlighting opportunities instead of threats. This is the same neural mechanism that makes you notice red cars everywhere after you decide to buy a red car. Your brain starts feeding you information that supports wealth creation because that's what you've programmed it to look for. The abundance framework operates on three core principles that create measurable changes in your brain structure. Gratitude rewires your brain to recognize existing wealth, shifting your focus from what you lack to what you already have. Visualization creates neural pathways for future success, programming your brain to recognize opportunities that align with your desired outcomes. Strategic planning aligns your actions with growth rather than protection, creating forward momentum instead of defensive positioning. Gratitude practice literally changes your brain structure, increasing activity in the prefrontal cortex where executive decision-making happens, and decreasing activity in the amygdala where fear responses originate. This neurological shift makes you more capable of making rational financial decisions while reducing the emotional reactivity that sabotages wealth creation. Visualization isn't wishful thinking. It's a technique that creates the same neural pathways as actual experience, priming your brain to recognize and act on opportunities that align with your visualized outcomes. Strategic financial planning from an abundance mindset focuses on expansion and opportunity rather than restriction and risk avoidance, creating a feedback loop that generates more wealth building possibilities. The abundance operating system transforms your relationship with money from reactive management to proactive creation, making wealth building feel natural instead of forced. This internal transformation is what makes external wealth creation inevitable. You're no longer fighting against your own programming, but working with neural pathways designed for growth. The final piece isn't just changing your thoughts, it's completely transforming your financial identity so that wealth creation becomes as automatic as breathing. This goes deeper than mindset shifts or positive thinking. Your identity is the invisible operating system that controls every financial decision you make, every opportunity you pursue, and every action you take with money. Your current financial identity was formed through years of unconscious programming, and it has an invisible force called identity homeostasis that pulls you back to familiar patterns even when you try to change. This psychological mechanism works like a thermostat, constantly adjusting your behaviors to maintain consistency with who you believe yourself to be. When you start earning more money or taking bigger risks, identity homeostasis kicks in to bring you back to your comfort zone. You can learn all the wealth building strategies in the world, but if your identity is still programmed for financial mediocrity, you'll unconsciously sabotage your own success to maintain psychological consistency. Your brain will create elaborate reasons why you shouldn't apply for that promotion, why you shouldn't start that business, or why you shouldn't make that investment. These aren't rational decisions. They're identity protection mechanisms. The language patterns you use about money reveal and reinforce your financial identity. Phrases like, I can't afford it, money doesn't grow on trees, and rich people are greedy create neural pathways that block wealth creation. Every time you speak these words, you're programming your brain to filter out opportunities that contradict your stated identity. Your unconscious mind takes these statements as commands and works tirelessly to make them true. Identity resistance shows up as procrastination on financial opportunities, self-sabotage when success feels too unfamiliar, and unconscious behaviors that maintain your current financial status quo. You might find yourself arriving late to important meetings, making careless mistakes on business proposals, or choosing safe investments that guarantee mediocre returns. These aren't character flaws, they're identity defense mechanisms. Successful identity transformation requires strategic goal setting that creates an abundance feedback loop, small wins that prove your new identity is real and sustainable. The daily habits that compound abundance thinking into tangible results include morning visualization, evening gratitude practice, and weekly financial planning sessions, focused on growth rather than restriction. These practices don't just change your thoughts, they create new neural pathways that support your emerging wealthy identity. You must practice thinking, speaking, and acting like someone who naturally creates wealth until these new neural pathways become stronger than your old scarcity programming. When your financial identity aligns with abundance thinking, wealth creation stops feeling like work and starts feeling like a natural expression of who you are. This is the internal transformation that makes external wealth not just possible, but inevitable. You're no longer trying to become wealthy, you're simply being who you naturally are. True wealth isn't created in your bank account, it's created in your brain through the systematic rewiring of unconscious patterns that have been limiting your financial potential. The abundance mindset isn't a philosophy or belief system. It's a practical framework for transforming your neural pathways so that wealth creation becomes your natural operating system. Start today by identifying one scarcity thought pattern that's been running your financial life, then consciously replace it with an abundance-based alternative until the new pathway becomes automatic. Your brain is waiting for new programming.